Hey guys, I wanted to show you a little project I'm working on. I have a couple dozen breeder queens coming um, in May, so I was preparing for that. I have some of these push-in cages already made, uh, but I need more of them. So these are push-in queen introduction cages. So when you have a valuable queen, not necessarily money, but genetics or hard for you to acquire or sentimental or whatever reason that you have that you really don't want to roll the dice on this queen not being accepted. These come in very handy. Uh, a candy cage works really well most of the time, but there are some times that a queen is not accepted. There's lots of things that you can do to ensure that a queen is accepted, like making the colony hopelessly broodless. Uh, the way to do that is you kill or remove the original queen, and then you wait a minimum of 3 days until they've drawn out what cells that they're going to draw out. The larvae that is in there that is appropriate age for making a queen is now too old, and then you destroy all the cells that they made. Now they have no options in that colony. They're hopelessly queenless. So that pretty much will ensure acceptance with any kind of introduction method, like with the candy cages and such. But if you want to take it an extra step, these push-in cages are used by finding an area of brood that is emerging. Then you will release the queen onto that comb with emerging bees underneath this cage. Then you'll push this cage into the comb, put a rubber band around the frame to secure it, and you'll leave them there. The emerging bees, they recognize that queen immediately as their queen. They will take care of her, and they will polish the cells that they came out of, and she will begin to lay in those cells rather quickly. Usually it takes about 4 days, 4 or 5 days, and you're good to go. She'll have laid a small patch of brood. She'll have been accepted by the colony because a laying queen is always accepted, and you've ensured the acceptance of your breeder queen. So this is number 8 hardware cloth. It's very simple to make. It's roughly an inch. Now you can buy push-in cages that are plastic. They have spikes on the outside. Some of them are 3D printed. I don't really care for those. I think they cause too much damage around the outside. It's much wider, and the bees tunnel under them, and they tend to fall off, and the bees tend to excavate around it. And my theory is it's the width of that plastic and the damage that it causes when you push it in. This, if you're using plastic foundation, you just push this down to the midrib, the plastic foundation, and you're pretty well good to go. Typically, when you're introducing a queen, it's not going to be in a super strong colony. Really, you'll get better success if they're not booming, but a lot of times you may need to do that. So this is just another way to ensure that. So I have these sheets of pre-cut number 8 hardware cloth. These were cut for screen bottom boards, which is another topic that I can talk about later, but I really don't think it much matters between screen or bottom. But anyway, there's a number of these available to me, so I'm utilizing those. You can use a pattern. I think the ones that are available from beekeeping stores like Better Bee, I think they're around 4 inches by 4 inches, maybe 3.5 by 3.5, something along those lines, which is a good size. You can go bigger, you can go a little smaller. I wouldn't go too much smaller. I think this is about 3.5, about 3.5. It's a little on the small side, but it works. She's not going to be in there very long, probably about 4 days. So for me, not using a pattern, I measure the width across on those sheets, and I think it's 14.5. Yeah, so it's 14.5. So I'll go 7.25. I'll mark 7.25. It's really not a technical process, guys. It's something, if you want to make them all very uniform and really nice, you could get out and mark everything, cut it all the same, and solder the corners if you so choose, or you can just knock them up, and they don't look bad to me, but they work. So you want a pair of good shears or stout scissors. These are some Harbor Freight shears. I'll go along my mark and just cut down that space. Now I have two not identical but similar sized pieces. This is roughly 6 by 6. Again, thereabouts. It's just a rough guide out of the scrap pile, so there's two. And this one will be a little wider, so I'll just come out over. Again, guys, I'm not measuring. I'm just quick and dirty. So that's what this block's for. I just cut it on the saw. This is a 6-inch board, so it's like 5.5, 5 3/4, something like that. So I just adjusted the table saw and cut it into a square, just to give me the rough guide there. There's these. So now this board is 1 inch thick. The measurements on it, other than that 1 inch, really don't matter. They just come out of the scrap pile. So I'll take my long end and I'll line it up along the edge. Just fold it over, run my finger down it. Do the same over here. Fold her over. This is just a little bit smaller piece of scrap, 1 inch. And this is going to tell me how far to cut. Excuse me. So this is 1 inch thick. I need these walls to be 1 inch. So what I do, I find on the flat part from the bend, the first line, and I go and I cut up one past it. 1 to 2 past it. It really doesn't matter, but about 1 past it. Then I just turn it around again so I can see 1, and then I'll come up here to roughly 1 to 2 past it. Now I'm still flush. Just going to fold over my end. Now I'm going to do the same on this end. Come up, go 1 to 2 past. Flip it around to where I'm not feeling awkward with my cutters. And you can see, there we go. You can see where I cut it up. Now again, it's folded 1 inch. Now I have it like so. Simply fold your tab over, give it a pinch, fold your tab over on all 4 corners. And you can use it without stapling it. You could solder this, or you could just use a little stapler, which is what I like to do. And I'll put 2. There you have it. Alright guys, I wanted to show you what it looks like. I don't have a queen I'm trying to introduce right now, but essentially you find you a good size rubber band, and imagine that this is a merging brood, and you're in the hive. You're just taking, blow the bees, and then you'll lay it down maybe on the lid or something, and you'll rest your cage right here. You'll have your queen cage. You're going to put your cork out, put your finger over it, or your thumb, something like this, and you'll put it to where you just get under it. If your queen, if she don't want to come out, then you just blow at the cage, and she'll run out. Now, it's happened before, and I'm sure it may happen again, but queens sometimes fly when you get them out of that cage, and you don't really want that. They've been traveling, they're lighter. So a very easy thing to do is just spritz her ever so lightly with a little bit of syrup, just a little bit, maybe even water, but just a little droplet on there. Get her wings a little sticky and she can't fly. So you're going to lift this up, put your queen cage in, blow a little bit, make that queen run out. She's going to run in under this cage. And there doesn't need to be any bees in here with her because this is emerging and they'll be coming out right now. Then put your hand flat. Now this comb hasn't been worked recently, so it's a little bit harder, but it's essentially the same and it's soft enough it's going in. So you just take the flat of your hand and you'll push it in. And it gives a good enough gap. The reason for 1 inch is that it leaves a good enough gap that this queen, she can get away from the bees that'll be on top of this. They can't grab her wings and pull her and harass her through the wire. She can get away from them. They may be harassing her, but she doesn't have to stay in contact with them. Now, If it's warm outside, rather hot like it gets in the summer, this comb's super soft. Put you a rubber band around it. That way it won't slide out. Now the bees often will clean up the brood, especially if you have hygienic bees. They're going to clean up the brood that you damaged around through here. And they may tunnel a little bit, but this is plastic. You push it down. Really, it's not going to be a big deal. Usually about 4 to 5 days, she's accepted. It's good to let her out. And when you go to let her out, you can tell. You'll come out. There'll be bees maybe on the cage feeding her a little bit, not covering it up. You can tell by the noise and by their behavior what's going on. So that is how we do it. Oh well, let's show you here. You can see the frames can go together regular width with this style cage. So push-in wire mesh queen cages, great tool to have for introducing queens that you don't want to lose. Even if she's nothing special to you, they still cost, $35, $40 here in 2022. So it's an investment. So if you want to ensure that you're going to have a good, seamless introduction, then these cages work great. If you have any questions, let me know. Catch you guys around.